Hello and welcome to another episode of the SMEFocus show, brought to you by the FactoryNOW TV team. I'm your host, Chris Greenough, and in this series we will focus on the SMEs within the British manufacturing sector. Every week we will discuss and analyse the opportunities and challenges facing the industry in these unprecedented times. I have worked in the sector for over 26 years, and I am CCO at SDE Technology, one of the leading manufacturers of pressings and assemblies in the UK. As you can hopefully appreciate, this show is very much for manufacturers by manufacturers. My guest today is Tony Hague, CEO at PP Control and Automation. Tony, how are you? Nice to see you.
Yeah, hi Christopher. No, really well, thank you. You keeping well?
Fine, yes. And yourself?
Yeah, as I said, it's been challenging times for all of us, but yeah, things are good. Yeah, things are good right now.
So great to have you on the show, Tony. Please tell us about PP Control and Automation and exactly what you do.
Yeah, okay. PP Control and Automation, basically we're a subcontract manufacturer, predominantly based around control and automation solutions. That could be electrical control, it could be mechatronics, it could be mechanical, but fundamentally we build either machines or parts of machines or sub-assemblies, predominantly for large OEMs. So what we could be building is a control and automation system that goes onto a machine tool cabinet, or we could be building a piece of ophthalmic test equipment that goes into eye care. But fundamentally, we're a contract manufacturer based in Walsall, West Midlands, and employ 230 people.
So a decent-sized company. And what are the main sectors you work in, Tony?
Wide and varied. Medical, semiconductor, pharmaceutical, power generation, machine tool, food processing, packaging, labelling sectors, a little bit in oil and gas. So quite diverse, Christopher.
Are there any sectors you don't work in, Tony?
I'm sure there is. Actually, yeah, we don't work in automotive.
Okay. And is that a conscious decision not to work in automotive, or just the way the business has grown?
I think it's the way the business has evolved because, typically automotive has been a very different opportunity to manufacturing. I think what I would say, although I sort of say quite flippantly that we're not involved in it, there are actually certain parts of the automotive now that are involved more around EV and electrification side, where we are just starting to get involved because it's a bit more of our sweet spot.
And you're obviously part of the MAN group as well, so you've that electric and that EV push now through the whole of the MAN group is coming on, but certainly PP Control and Automation, is that a sector that you see will take off, the EV sort of sector?
I think so. I think when you look at the whole EV infrastructure, and not just the obvious in terms of charging cars, etc., but the much wider infrastructure associated with charging, first mile, last mile, the whole piece around that, then I think there's going to be opportunities for all sorts of subcontract manufacturers and engineering companies around the Midlands and the UK. And it just goes without saying. It's a bit of a slow burner, as we've all seen, but it is beginning to gather some momentum now.
And 2020 was a really tough year for us all. How did you and your company cope with the impact of COVID and the restrictions that were put on us during 2020?
I guess we had all the same challenges that every company had to deal with. It's really balancing keeping our employees safe and well and meeting the needs of our customers who, some slowed down, some were exceptionally busy throughout. So, we had to manage shift patterns. You follow all the protocols in terms of, perspex screens are going up everywhere, everyone wearing face coverings, installing infrared thermal cameras at all the entrances and exits so everyone's scanned when they're entered. So we did all of the right things in terms of keeping people safe, shift patterns, break patterns. But, like a lot of businesses, I guess, we stayed open every single day and have done through the pandemic. In fact, we got rather busy throughout it because we were involved in the UK Ventilator Challenge. So we produced, close on 100,000 parts that went into medical ventilators. So, we were all the way through end of March to April through May. We were absolutely flat out open all over Easter, every day, every hour, God willing, working 24 hours pretty much. Because of that call for action, really. So it's just been a balance, Christopher, keeping employees safe and meeting the needs of the customers.
And it's really good to hear you involved in that ventilator challenge. Did you have many people working from home, or as a manufacturer, do you try and keep the people on site?
Everyone's working on site. I mean, certain sub-assemblies for that challenge people could take home with them, for example, but pretty much we've actually managed to keep the factory open and keep everybody in the factory whilst observing all social distancing, etc., etc. So in an ideal world, as you know, in a manufacturing company like ours, you really do need people here. The tooling's here, the parts are here. It can be quite difficult for home working.
Absolutely. So now we've left the EU with the impact of Brexit. What's that impact on your business, and what opportunities do you think it will bring for UK manufacturing?
In terms of impact, what we've seen fairly quickly is just a disruption in the supply chain. So we procure a lot of parts that are, although they're via UK distribution or UK owned businesses, they're electromechanical parts that, you know, historically are made in Asia, made in Europe, etc. And we're seeing just delays that couldn't be foreseen, weren't planned. So we've certainly got what we believe will be relatively short-term disruption in the supply chain, and we're working closely with our suppliers and partners to just mitigate that the best we can. But I'd be a liar if I said it wasn't causing us a few problems right now. I think the long-term opportunity, strangely enough, all things Brexit and possibly COVID laid on top of Brexit, if that's what you call it, what we're seeing is some great opportunities for reshoring work. So we're seeing a real sway of large OEMs that have historically put work out into LCGs, Eastern Europe or Asia, who are now looking at supply chain models closer to home, whether that's the entire supply chain or part of the supply chain to de-risk, as in have parallel suppliers. So I think anyone involved in UK manufacturing right now, there's a real opportunity, the moment now to seize that. Is that, you know, people are looking at risk mitigation strategies, and if there's a UK supply chain there that's competent, agile, cost effective, is making the right investment, then I think there's some real growth opportunities.
Absolutely, and it's all about taking that chance, but also backing it up, as you say, with investment. They aren't just going to bring the work back to the UK because they like UK manufacturers. We've got to have the quality. We've got to be competitive. There's obviously the transport costs, so there will be that bringing it back to the UK could be a cheaper option, but we have got to be competitive, and that's with companies like yourself. It's the investment, the ongoing investment, that brings those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people talk about investments in automation, people talk robotics, people use that horrible phrase Industry 4.0, but fundamentally, whatever you want to call it, you're right. Now we've got to be, I don't think it's about lean anymore. I think it's about agility. You've got to have an organization now that can respond quickly, offer the right quality, be cost effective, not necessarily the cheapest, but just be cost effective. And if you invest not just in the capex side, but also invest in your people and training, and you put the two together, then I think for the right businesses, there's some significant opportunities right now.
Fantastic. And you mentioned investing in people, investing in training and skills. What are the plans for you and your company for this year? And how do you see the sector bouncing back in 2021?
We're planning 20% growth in 2021. So significant growth. We're employing people. We're employing at the moment. So we're recruiting across the whole organisation. Positions are both in senior and middle management, as well as in manufacturing, all the way through. So our constraint will always be, like most businesses, recruiting top talent. And that's what we need. We've got a great team of people here. It's been a great journey. And we've got some significant growth plans over the next sort of 3 to 4 years. So for us, it's all about growth.
And is that growth just from existing customers? Is it investing in new technologies and looking for new sectors? Is it collaboration with other members of your group? Where does that growth potential come from?
I think you've actually just answered the question, all three of those, Christopher. So yeah, we work up the value chain with existing customers who are looking to scale themselves, and therefore naturally want us to look at exploring more higher value add solutions for them. There's obviously new sectors. We've discussed one or two of them already in terms of EV infrastructure, but also life science, pharmaceutical, medical are obvious areas for growth right now in terms of medical diagnostics, etc. So there's some really good growth opportunities there for us. Also in the sectors of the food industry and food packaging, there's changes in those sectors that are driving growth as well. So yeah, and of course with the manufacturing assembly network, the MAN group, we've identified a number of opportunities to work on collaboratively, again, which are quite exciting. So yeah, there's a huge amount of opportunities out there. You've just got to have the determination to go and look in the right places and put yourself forward. And
when do you see that sort of growth coming back to UK manufacturing? Because certainly up until sort of the end of March, we still got the furlough scheme in place. We're currently under lockdown restrictions again that we're all hoping will be eased sort of middle of February, but that's looking less and less likely looking at the numbers. So when do you think the revival in UK manufacturing is going to start in 2021?
I think we're all focused, and whether it's hope or not, I think we're all focused around this sort of Easter period where we all think the sun's going to suddenly come out, the clocks will change, and when vaccines have been rolled out, and us oldies like me over 50 will have had the vaccinations. So I guess we're all thinking about Q2 and beyond. I mean, saying that, I mean, Q1 for us is, as I said, is actually still busy. But I think in terms of wider manufacturing and the feel-good factor, I guess we're all focused around about this sort of Easter period of time where hopefully the stars will align and things will start to feel a lot easier. I think last year when they were talking about economic recovery and people were talking about V-shaped recoveries, I don't know about you, but I was rather sceptical of that. And now we're back into, I think, what they're now calling the economists a W-shaped recovery. I'm not an economist, but I can work out the shape on a graph. I think that's it. I mean, I don't think anyone was surprised that, that through November, December and Jan, this quarter, GDP has gone backwards, etc. It was going to. But I think we're all just focused around this Easter period. For lots of reasons, better weather, vaccination rollout. There's a lot of people pent up back home with money to spend. I think there'll be quite a strong economic recovery in Q2 and into Q3. But who knows? I mean, I think I've been wrong on just about every part of this global pandemic so far. So I think I remember calling it a bit of a cold back about 14 months ago. And so yeah, I'm the last person to ask.
Well, let's hope Q2 it does start coming back, and maybe later on in the year you'll come back and tell us of how your plans have gone, where you are on your 20% growth and taking on new recruits. Tony, fantastic to speak to you. Take care and see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Christopher. Look after yourself.
Thank you, Tony. That brings us to the end of another show. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to meeting more of our brilliant SME manufacturers next week. If you would like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, or even to appear on a future episode, please email us tv@mtd.media. Thank you for watching again. So from me, Chris G at SDE, goodbye.